There are weeks when nothing happens, and then there are weeks when nothing appears to happen, but everything moves underneath. This has been one of those weeks. Between March 16 and March 23rd, 2026, the world did not get confirmation of extraterrestrial life. There was no landing, no official reveal, no moment of undeniable proof. But something else happened, something quieter, more controlled. The system adjusted. This is UFO-to-UAP, the Disclosure Report. I'm Matt Tones, and thank you for joining us for our first episode. Today, we're doing a rapid intelligence-style breakdown of the last week in the UAP world. And this week is important because the story is shifting again. Not toward clear proof, not toward disclosure, but towards something else. Institutional normalisation. Between March 16 and March 23, 2026, the UAP conversation moved forward on four fronts: government signalling, serious unidentified aerial incursions near sensitive military assets, new state-level political interest, and a quiet but meaningful expansion of the UAP research ecosystem. But let's begin with the biggest headline. The USA government has now registered the domains Alien.gov and aliens.gov. That happened last week, and it immediately exploded across the UFO and disclosure world. The timing matters because it comes about a month after President Donald Trump said he was directing the Pentagon and other federal agencies to identify and release files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, and UFOs. Now, to be clear, domain registration is not evidence of extraterrestrials. It's not the same as released files. And it is not proof that a disclosure portal is about to go live. But politically and symbolically, this is huge. Because for years, the UAP issue has lived in an unstable zone between congressional concern, defense secrecy, public ridicule, and media spectacle. Registering those domains moves the topic one step closer to formal federal presentation. Even if what comes next is limited, slow, or underwhelming, the act itself tells us this issue is being handled as something that may require an official public-facing infrastructure. And yet, here is the key tension. The files still have not arrived. As of March 23, 2026, AARO's official congressional and press products page still does not show a new major UAP release tied to this latest White House push. Its UAP materials still center on the November 14, 2024 annual report and earlier historical material. So the current phase is not a data release phase, it's a pressure phase, a signaling phase, a pre-disclosure atmosphere. That leads us to the second major development of the week, and frankly, this might be more important than the domain story. Over the last few days, report emerged of unidentified drones over Fort McNair in Washington, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth live. Reuters reported that US officials detected unidentified drones over the base, had not determined where they had come from, and even waited relocating both Rubio and Hegseth. Now, let me pause on that. This is not random internet footage. It's not shaky cell phone video over our highway. This is an intrusion over a sensitive US military site associated with top national security officials. And it did not happen in isolation. ABC News also reported that between March 9 and March 15, Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana saw multiple waves of 12 to 15 drones operating over sensitive areas, including the flight line, with the aircraft showing non-commercial signal characteristics, long-range control links, and resistance to jamming. That is a massive story because whether these objects are adversary drones, black budget systems, sophisticated surveillance platforms, or something even stranger, the implication is the same. The UAP conversation is increasingly merging the counter-UAS airspace security and strategic vulnerability. And that matters because this is exactly the frame that has been replacing the old pop culture little green men framing for many years. The modern UAP issue is increasingly treated as a national security and detection problem first, and only secondarily as a mystery. Reuters and other outlets are reflecting that shift directly. Even the recent attention around Alien.gov and aliens.gov is being interpreted through fears over drones, restricted airspace, and even foreign surveillance. So if you're asking what happened in the last week that actually matters, one answer is this. The line between UAP and unresolved drone incursions is becoming harder to separate in public discourse. Now let's move to government files and official records. Here the story is more restrained. Despite Trump's February order and the new domain registrations, there has still been no public release this week of the kind of archival trove many disclosure advocates are hoping for. And that fits a long pattern. Official investigations continue to acknowledge unresolved cases while also saying they have found no verified evidence of extraterrestrial technology. AARO's 2024 historical report said none of the cases it reviewed represented extraterrestrial or off-world technology, and the DoD's November 2024 annual release said AARO had over 1,600 cases under review as of June 1st, 2024. So the official position remains, yes, there are unresolved incidents. Yes, some are anomalous, but no, the government says it is not verified alien technology. That doesn't settle the public argument, of course. It just means the burden of proof remains where it has been, with future evidence, future records, and future whistleblowers. And this is where the geopolitics piece becomes interesting. In the United States, UAPs are becoming part of a broader national security language shaped by drone warfare, contested airspace, and uncertainty over adversary capabilities. That is one reason the issue keeps attracting bipartisan attention, even when alien claims remain unproven. The Guardian noted this week that official interest in UAPs is now deeply rooted in fears around drones, terrorism, and international conflict. Outside the US, the broader picture is mixed, but still important. AARO's own historical report reviewed foreign investigatory efforts in places like the UK, Canada, and France, and found these programs largely landed on the ordinary explanations or unresolved but unproven cases rather than confirmed extraterrestrial visitation. At the same time, Japan formalized UAP reporting protocols for its self-defense forces in 2020, and Canada launched a multi-agency UAP investigation survey in 2023. So while the US dominates the media cycle, the geopolitical reality is that UAPs are now part of a small but real international policy conversation. And now this week brought a fascinating development at the state level in America. In Connecticut, lawmakers heard testimony on Bill HB 5422 that would have the University of Connecticut work with state agencies to study UAPs and explore a state research center. The sponsor framed it as a scientific and data collection issue, not a conspiracy project. The bill also comes after New Jersey already passed a law last year establishing a center to study UAPs in collaboration with higher education institutions, with a law taking effect in January. That might sound small compared to the White House domain drama, but in some ways it's more durable. Because once universities, state agencies, and civilian reporting structures begin to formalize the topic, the UAP issue becomes less dependent on one administration, one whistleblower, or one sensational leak. It starts growing roots. Now let's talk about the UAP industry. And yes, there is now clearly an industry around this subject, not just media, but conferences, sensors, analysis networks, policy shops, and hybrid defense research communities. One of the most important reports this week came from Defense Scoop, which revealed that AARO quietly sponsored an invite-only workshop hosted by Associated Universities Incorporated, aimed at shaping the future of high-stakes UAP research. The workshop took place earlier, but the report only surfaced this week, and it suggests the Pentagon is trying to build a more interactive research ecosystem around detection, analysis, and methodology. And that's a major signal because it means the government is not only investigating reports case by case, it's also thinking about the infrastructure of research. Who studies this? How data gets shared? What methods count? And how the field professionalizes. This sits alongside a widening civilian ecosystem of UAP conferences, academic interest, and specialty organizations trying to move the conversation away from pure belief and toward repeatable data collection. So where does all this leave us at the end of the week? Here's the cleanest read. No major government file dump has happened yet. No confirmed extraterrestrial breakthrough has happened, but the UAP issue has still advanced. It advanced because the US government put official infrastructure signals around the topic with Alien.gov and aliens.gov. It advanced because unidentified aerial incursions over Fort McNair and Barksdale pushed the issue deeper into the real-world national security arena. It advanced because lawmakers in Connecticut treated UAP research as a legitimate public policy discussion. And it advanced because the reporting this week suggests AARO is quietly helping shape a research architecture, not just answering press questions. In other words, the week did not give us disclosure, it gave us consolidation. The mystery remains unresolved, but the system around the mystery is becoming more organized. And that might be the real story of 2026 so far, because history doesn't always move through one explosive revelation. Sometimes it moves through a series of bureaucratic steps that look really boring at first. A memo, a workshop, a domain registration, a hearing, a security incident, a new reporting channel. And then one day, everyone realizes the subject has crossed a threshold. That is what this past week feels like to me. Not proof, not closure, but big threshold energy. And for anyone following the UFO to UAP transition closely, that really matters. I'm Matt Tones, and this has been UFO to UAP, the Disclosure Report. Please subscribe, share, and tell your mum about our podcast.